The digital world shifted on its axis. One moment, it was business as usual. Celebrity gossip, political squabbles, the relentless churn of the internet. The next, a shadowy, unverified audio clip had detonated, scattering shards of doubt and speculation across the carefully constructed image of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. The claim, "A secret," cruelly whispered, about the circumstances surrounding the birth of her daughter, Lilibet. The internet, of course, lost its collective mind. It wasn't just the allegation itself that Meghan had supposedly confessed to only having Lilibet because of Prince Harry, but the eerie silence that followed. In the echo chamber of social media, the lack of immediate, vehement denial from Meghan's camp spoke volumes. This was a woman known for her rapid-fire responses, her carefully crafted narratives, her unwavering defense of her own image. To remain silent in the face of such a damaging accusation felt calculated. Consider the landscape. Meghan Markle, the American actress who captivated a prince and challenged the very foundations of the British monarchy. A woman who had willingly stepped into the gilded cage of royal life, only to declare its suffocating constraints intolerable. Megxit, the explosive departure from royal duty, had left a trail of fractured relationships and unanswered questions. And now this. The audio clip, murky and indistinct, spread like wildfire, fueled by speculation and conspiracy theories. Was it real? A deep fake, masterfully engineered to tarnish Meghan's reputation? Or perhaps a fragment of truth, twisted and manipulated to serve a malicious agenda? The Duchess, predictably, blamed AI. Deep fake technology, she suggested, was the likely culprit, a tool weaponized to portray her in a negative light. It was a convenient explanation, and one that played into the growing anxieties surrounding the capabilities of artificial intelligence. But it lacked the force, the conviction that her supporters had come to expect. Adding fuel to the fire was the emergence of an alleged video, a seemingly innocuous scene, Lilibet, a toddler, crying. Meghan, allegedly, dismissive, calling for the child to be taken away rather than offering comfort. Again, the internet erupted. Was this proof of a cold, uncaring mother, or simply a snapshot, taken out of context, of a weary parent navigating the everyday challenges of raising young children? The narrative quickly spiraled beyond the audio and video themselves. It became a referendum on Meghan Markle, the woman. Her ambition, her perceived ruthlessness, her carefully curated image, all were scrutinized under the harsh glare of public opinion. The timing was particularly brutal. Meghan was on the cusp of launching a new venture, a cooking show designed to showcase her domestic side, her entrepreneurial spirit, her ability to connect with everyday audiences. The allegations threatened to derail the entire project, casting a shadow over her carefully crafted persona. But there was another, perhaps even more significant element at play: the involvement of Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister. Their relationship, strained and acrimonious, had been a recurring subplot in the Meghan Markle saga. Samantha, consistently critical of her famous sibling, had positioned herself as an insider, privy to the secrets and scandals that Meghan desperately tried to conceal. Samantha's alleged endorsement of the audio and video, her claim that the source was a woman with first-hand knowledge of Meghan's household, added a layer of credibility, or at least the appearance of credibility, to the allegations. It also opened the floodgates to a new wave of speculation about Meghan's treatment of her staff, particularly nannies. The word nanny. It hung in the air like a loaded question. These women, often unseen and unheard, held the keys to the kingdom, the intimate details of a life lived behind closed doors. They witnessed the tantrum, the tender moments, the power dynamics that shaped a family. And Meghan's history with them was, to put it mildly, checkered. Stories of firing, of impossible demands, of tears shed in private, circulated in hushed tones. Were these disgruntled employees seeking revenge? Or were they brave souls, willing to risk everything to expose the truth? The lack of positive accounts, the difficulty in finding anyone willing to speak glowingly about their time working for the Duchess, was telling. It painted a picture of a demanding, controlling employer, a woman who struggled to delegate and who held her staff to an impossibly high standard. The alleged video, however, was the real gut punch. It wasn't the screaming matches or the blatant displays of cruelty that one might expect. It was the quiet indifference, the subtle disengagement, a child crying, reaching for her mother, and being met with nothing. A request to be taken away, as if she were a troublesome object rather than a beloved daughter. It was a scene that resonated with parents everywhere, a reminder of the moments when patience wears thin, when exhaustion takes over. But for Meghan, it was amplified, magnified, judged against the image she had so carefully cultivated. The image of a compassionate, empathetic woman, a champion of children's rights, a loving mother. The hospital claim added another layer of darkness to the narrative: a sick child, a frantic search for a parent, and a mother who allegedly couldn't be bothered to come to her side. It was a scenario that defied comprehension, a betrayal of the most fundamental maternal instincts. The silence from Meghan's camp, once again, was deafening. Where was the outrage, the denial, the heartfelt explanation? Instead, there was a calculated shift in focus, a deliberate attempt to distract from the controversy. The cooking show, once a promising venture, now felt like a desperate attempt to salvage a sinking ship. Headlines touted her culinary skills, her down-to-earth personality, her ability to connect with ordinary people, but the public wasn't buying it. The allegations had taken root, poisoning the well of public opinion. The problem wasn't just the audio or the video. It was the pattern, the carefully constructed image, the unwavering control, the willingness to cut ties with anyone who threatened her narrative. It was the perception that Meghan Markle was a woman who prioritized her own ambition above all else, even her own family. Her relationship with Samantha was a prime example, a constant reminder of a past she wanted to erase, a living embodiment of the messy, imperfect family she had left behind. Samantha's relentless attacks were dismissed as the rantings of a jealous sibling, but they served a purpose. They kept the narrative alive. They chipped away at Meghan's carefully constructed facade. The lack of cordiality between the half-sisters made any claim Samantha touched automatically suspect. But it also highlighted Meghan's refusal to engage, her determination to ignore and dismiss. If Samantha were truly irrelevant, many argued, she would have been neutralized long ago with facts, not silence. The Oprah interview, the tell-all that shook the monarchy, only added to the skepticism. Meghan had been willing to air her grievances on a global stage, to name names and to expose the inner workings of the royal family. But now, when her own parenting was under scrutiny, she retreated, offering only vague denials and blaming the boogeyman of AI. The public wasn't just debating Meghan as a duchess, a wife, or a media personality. They were questioning her as a mother. And that was a far more dangerous conversation for someone whose public identity relied so heavily on moral authority and emotional storytelling. The longer she stayed quiet, the more space speculation filled. Supporters insisted she owed no one an explanation. Critics countered that when you monetize your personal story, silence becomes selective accountability. The public, caught in between, continued to watch and wait. Because if this were a simple lie, many believed it would have been crushed immediately. If the video were fake, forensic experts would have been called. If the audio were AI, evidence would have been presented. Instead, there was distance, detachment, control. And control has always been Meghan Markle's most consistent trait. The unboxing videos, the carefully curated glimpses into her Montecito life, the aspirational brand that screamed effortless chic, it all felt hollow. It was packaging boxes, someone noted, tissue paper, the perfect aesthetic, all meticulously planned and executed. But where was the soul? Where was the authenticity? Harry, the prince who had chosen love over duty, the man who had stood by Meghan's side against the full force of the royal institution, was conspicuously absent from the narrative. Had he seen the video? Heard the audio? What did he make of the allegations? Was he, too, questioning the woman he thought he knew? His silence spoke volumes. Once the outspoken defender of his wife, he had become a muted figure, a shadow lurking in the background. Had he finally realized that he had been played? That he had sacrificed everything for a woman who was more interested in building a brand than building a family? The Australian royal tour, once hailed as a triumph, now seemed like a distant memory. It was there, some pointed out, that Harry had encouraged Meghan's belief in her own narrative, her own power to shape the story. He had enabled her, empowered her, and perhaps in doing so, he had created a monster. The narrative of the wronged woman, the victim of a racist and sexist institution, had resonated with many. But the allegations surrounding Lilibet challenged that narrative, exposing a different side of Meghan, a side that was cold, calculating, and perhaps even cruel. The hair, some obsessed, was a tell. Kate Middleton's strategic friend, before announcing a pregnancy, Meghan's sudden change in style. Were these calculated moves designed to distract and deceive? The rumor mill churned, fueled by speculation and innuendo. The prosthetic pregnancy theory, once dismissed as a conspiracy theory, gained new traction. The video of Meghan dancing with Harry, her stomach appearing unnaturally flat, was dissected and analyzed. Was it possible? Could she have faked the entire pregnancy? The lack of transparency, the constant manipulation of the narrative, had eroded trust. Even those who had once been staunch supporters began to waver. They wanted to believe in Meghan, in her story of empowerment and resilience. But the allegations surrounding Lilibet were too damaging, too disturbing to ignore. The fact that Samantha Markle was involved only complicated matters. Her motives were suspect, her credibility questionable, but she had consistently positioned herself as someone who knew the truth, someone who was willing to expose Meghan's lies, no matter the cost. The anonymous nanny, the alleged source of the information, remained a shadowy figure, but her presence added a layer of authenticity to the allegations. Nannies, after all, saw everything. They witnessed the private moments, the unfiltered emotions, the realities that were carefully concealed from the public eye. The focus shifted, not on the audio, not on the video, but on Meghan herself, on her ambition, her control, her willingness to sacrifice everything for her own success, on the woman she had become, the woman she had always been. The questions lingered, unanswered. Was Meghan a victim or a manipulator? A loving mother or a cold and calculating narcissist? The truth, as always, was elusive, buried beneath layers of spin, deception, and carefully crafted narratives. The scandal may not have been about whether the audio or video was real. It may have been about what people already believed to be true, that Meghan curates, edits, and manages her life the same way she manages her public image. That intimacy is optional. That narrative comes first.